Fuji XPro3, my favorite camera that I never owned. In today's video, we'll go over some of the things that I really like about the camera and maybe why some reasons you should pick it up in 2023. Full disclaimer, there's 1,000 videos on the internet that go over the specs of this camera because it's been out for a little bit of time now. So this video will not be more so of a technical video, but it'll lean more into my personal experience while shooting this camera. So if you enjoy that, go ahead and smash that like button as well as click the subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming content. Thank you, and let's jump into the video. In an age where pretty much all digital cameras take phenomenal images and videos, it's important that you use a tool that not only sets you apart, but keeps you inspired and motivated at the same time. There was a point in early 2022 where I felt like I was going to give up on photography just because it felt boring and routine. Now this is before I decided to pull the trigger on my very first film camera, but I will openly admit that the XPro3 is the entire reason why I wanted to get into film in the first place. The XPro3 is what got me into actually trying to mimic film grain onto my images, really trying to mimic that whole film look using a digital camera. And yeah, honestly, the XPro3 is the whole reason why I even jumped into film photography to begin with. The XPro3's classic rangefinder style body is super easy to handle and move around with on the go. Another creative piece that I really love on this camera is the optical viewfinder. So for the XPro3, there is an EVF, an electronic viewfinder, and then there's a switch that you can turn it into the optical viewfinder. The thing I really love about the optical viewfinder is that you can use framing lines and it still displays all of your settings like your ISO, your shutter speed, all that other fun stuff, but you can actually use framing lines to get the model, the subject, whatever that you're shooting, right in the frame and really create really good composition. And it's an amazing feature on the XPro3. Another really awesome feature on the XPro3 is that rear LCD screen. It is such a cool feeling being able to swap between Fuji film simulations, like right on the scene in the middle of a shoot, and then just see the change happen on the back, switching from Astia to Acros. And because you actually have to flip down the LCD screen in order to see what the viewfinder is looking at, I really feel that for photographers, it gets us to slow down more. It gets us to do less chimping and actually just stay focused in the scene and worry about composition and other things. You get your settings and everything right, and then you just focus on the composition and other minute details within the shoot to make everything else work perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with chimping. I used to chimp a lot before I even used the XPro3, but after using a camera like that, I mean, it's addicting. You have a giant LCD screen on the back and you're looking through to see if you're missing any details or whatnot, but it kind of forces you with a screen like the XPro3 to really get everything right the first time. Take your time and focus on your settings and your lighting and everything else so you don't have to every shot flip down the screen and look through various images to verify if they're good or not. This is why I feel that this camera does a really good job introducing digital folks to a film experience, or even getting film folks that have used to shoot on digital back into a film type experience while using a digital camera, just because there's no LCD screen on my Nikon F3 or my Mamiya RZ67 Pro 2. So using a camera like this and being able to just look through the viewfinder, take the shot, and then move to the next one, it's really a satisfying feeling and it's very familiar to the film experience itself. Also, just because the rear LCD screen isn't really designed for video doesn't mean you can't actually record stuff. This camera does shoot in 4K, right, in 1080p, so you can get some really cool shots depending on how you work the device. I have put on an SLR Magic Cine lens on this camera multiple times, a manual lens when I'm zooming in and focusing properly. You just gotta hold the camera up to your eye, viewfinder up to your eye, right? And just focus in properly and make sure you're saying the model, the subject staying within frame, and you can get a decent shot, some clips for IG or TikTok or whatever. Is it a little bit of extra work compared to say maybe a Fuji XT4 or an S10 with a flip out screen? Sure, but again, if you want some 4K images, 4K footage while you're in the scene and all you have an XPro3, you're gonna make it work. So not a huge deal breaker. Of course, this is primarily a stills camera, but I will say you can get a few clips every now and then. I'm not saying this is a run and gun video camera, but you can actually get some decent stuff using the XPro3. One of the things that make Fujifilm so popular are their baked in film simulations in their cameras that you can just add to your photos and go about your business. They add something different and so much character to your images that it's ridiculous. You can also play around and create your own Fujifilm simulations too. Within the camera, there's also Fuji X Weekly that a lot of people reference to in order to get different film simulations for stuff. Capture One also bakes the Fujifilm simulations into their software. So in case you needed a last minute post-production, decision, you want to change something over to say Acros, right? You can do that within Capture One. These Fujifilm simulations also had me super interested in how they actually compare to real film stocks, which again, another reason why I jumped into film. Film simulations are also a really great way for delivering images as JPEGs straight out of the camera and just going about your business. There's something very liberating when you don't have to sit at a computer after taking photos and edit stuff for hours, right? With film simulations, you're able to slap the one on that you want, adjust your settings as need be while on scene, take the picture. If the picture looks good, you're done. That's all you have to do. And again, film simulations help take away some of that editing process from your workflow. I'm not saying that you can't edit things that you attach film simulations to, because you definitely can, but the purpose of film simulations are being able to, let me get that nice beautiful JPEG right in camera, and then now I'm done and I can just go about my business, work on another project. Just like I mentioned earlier about taking your time and properly composing your image with a camera like the XPro3, I really do feel that film simulations help attribute to that. You know that you're not going to edit this photo later, so you turn on a film simulation, right? And now you're making sure that your ISO, your shutter speed, your aperture, everything else is correct. The right on scene here, that their lighting at the specific scene is correct. You take the photo, you're happy with it, and you just move on. It's as simple as that. I think it's wonderful that there's so many digital cameras that people can shoot with. It really gives folks options into building their own creative style. Now, the cool thing about the XPro3 and other niche-like cameras like this is that they add a variety to the market of cameras. Variety ranging from unique in-camera settings like film simulations, to button and dials on the camera, to actually just the overall aesthetics of the device. This type of stuff makes shooting fun, and that's the whole purpose of anyone that ever picks up a camera. When you're pursuing photography seriously, you're gonna run to a wall where you feel, damn, am I really gonna keep doing this over and over and over again? But using a camera that's challenging to learn, that looks and feels different than other devices on the market, and also includes unique features in camera that promotes creativity, that stems an entire new world of possibilities for shooters, and you need that in order to stay creative. I did mention earlier that the XPro3 is my favorite camera that I never owned, and that's a very true statement, because when I had a chance to purchase one for the first time, I decided to get an XT4 because it fit more of my hybrid work style. My XT4 needed to do a lot of run and gun photo and video. So between the bigger battery, the flip out screen, and yeah, I'll be one of those guys that mentions IBIS as a selling point, was one of the main reasons why I purchased the XT4 over the XPro3 the first time. And when I had an opportunity to buy one a second time, I decided to rip the band-aid off and jump right into film and purchase a Mamiya RZ67 Pro 2, which was my very first film camera as of last year. So this is not a slight on the XPro3 at all. The XPro3 is an amazing camera and I love it to death. It's just, it helped me actually realize what I needed out of my work in order to be successful going forward. But I do feel that everyone needs to try this camera at least once to step outside of their comfort zone and really shoot something that they're not used to using. Hey, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think of the XPro3, if you've ever used it, just different thoughts or comments that you have on it. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm not sure what's in store this year in terms of an upgrade for this camera, but hey, this is a hidden gem and I absolutely love the XPro3. And also, if we do end up getting some sort of XPro 4 this year, that just means that the XPro3 will go down in price, and a lot of other shooters that maybe want to buy the camera but couldn't afford it at the time can maybe, you know, spend a couple of less bucks and pick it up. Thank you all for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Go ahead and smash that like button if you haven't already, and click that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming content. Thank y'all, and I'll catch you next week. Peace.